Isn't it interesting how that song, "It's times like these we learn to live again," had those lyrics repeated over and over and over. And not only were they repeated, but they were brought forth with a huge energy to the point where it kept building and building and building, because the idea behind that is in times like these, where we live in the United States, where we live in the world today, are we going to learn? Are we going to learn, or are we going to stay centered in the way we've been doing things for all of our lives, for all of eternity? Are we going to do it the exact same way? Are we going to sit in the exact same chair we sit every Sunday? Are we going to be next to the exact same people we were last 2 weeks ago? Are we going to go to the same restaurant every day? Are we going to do anything different, or are we going to expect things to change and not do nothing? You see, I'm exploring this idea of letting go and letting God. And it's not the idea I was brought up in Christianity, saying, get my small self out of the way and turn my power over to this creator outside of myself. That is not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here in these times, letting go of the ways that we've done things because they don't work. Can you hear that? They don't work. And so I'm going to come up and I'm going to say a lot of bold things from now on, because I'm stepping into my own greatness. Our political system doesn't work. Our economic system is not working. Why? Because it could be better. It's stagnant. It's not that it hasn't been good. It's not that we don't have abundance, but it could be so much better. And how do we get better? Through the idea of collaboration. So we get rid of this idea of competitive politics, of competitive capitalism, and we merge into this idea of collaboration, where we work together and find greater ways, because there's an infinite flow out there. Companies can work and collaborate together, and they both can be profitable. Countries can come together and work together, and they both can be free. You see, everything we're talking about today is about freedom. And I'm going to reflect back to last week when I talked about Chick-fil-A, and I talked about gay marriage, and I talked about how we embrace them both because everyone is free to do as they want. So I was in meditation this week, and what came to me so clearly is that any time we are in a boxed view of anything, whether that boxed view is political, it's relationship, it's religious, it's about fitness. Anytime there's a box around that view, we have given up our freedom. So anytime someone is saying you have to fit in a box, they don't buy into how this country was established. This country was established for one reason only: to be free. This country is the life and liberty and justice for all. It didn't say for some. It didn't say you had to be some way. It said that we can all exist together. So how do we do that? We let go. We let go of these ideas that no longer serve us. We let go of these patterns of belief that no longer serve us. We let go of the expectations of others upon us. We let go of the shoulds. Did you hear that? The shoulds that we have put in our life. I should do this. I should do that. I should do this. Anytime there's a should, you are shoulding on your freedom. And you know, that may not smell good when you should on your freedom. Because here's the idea: you were never meant to stay stagnant. You were never meant to be at peace, meditate all day long. That's not why you were here. You were brought here as the infinite expression of one, because you are that one desiring to create anew. You came here to create anew. And the thing that has to happen to create anew is we've got to let go of this stuff from the past. So when we're letting go, there are two tools that we teach that allow us to do that. Meditation, because in meditation we quiet our mind from thought. We free ourselves from the habitual thought patterns. And in that, our mind becomes free to imagine things outside of what we normally would imagine. That's the beauty of taking 5 minutes a day to sit in silence and focus on your breath, to allow the chatter to just fall away. The other tool that we teach is forgiveness. Forgiveness is releasing ourselves from the past. It does not matter what anyone ever did. It does not matter what anyone ever did, because that's in the past. In this moment, there's no one doing anything to me. And if I bring that past into me, I am shooting myself. You hearing that? So we go back in time, and I know that there was a time that in my family, I have Polish origin, that a lot of my relatives that I never met were killed in Germany during the Second World War. They were killed in concentration camps and that. Does that affect me where I am now? Not in the least. Do I need to bring that consciousness into the now? Not in the least. What purpose does it serve? The purpose of what happened that many years ago was to awaken the collective consciousness of this world to understand that no one should ever be in a state of confinement. No one should ever be persecuted. Everyone should be free and accepted who they are. The greatest little photograph that's been put on the internet on Facebook recently are 3 Labrador retrievers, one yellow, one brown, and one black. And there's a caption over it and says, "What do you mean we're different?" You see, those beautiful, beautiful dogs do not see anything but likeness. And so if we're going to let go, we've got to let go of the idea that we are separate. We've got to let go that it may be that people are doing things that are not in our taste, and we do not approve of that. We say no to that. But we understand that beneath these people, there's the Christ presence, there's the God presence, there's the infinite intelligence, and that they can change in a nanosecond. And we don't have to be responsible or worry about them being judged. Because what do we teach at Agape? We teach that there is a universal law. And that law responds unconditionally to our thoughts. And if you are thinking something, there's an immediate response by the universe. It's not judgmental. It's an immediate response. It happens to this person or that person. It's equal. There's equality in how the law works. The law cannot separate one from another and do favorite treatments. It doesn't do that. It responds equally. So this idea of letting go is letting go of the past, letting go of any hurt that ever happened to us. It means letting go of what we should do. It means letting go of the expectations of others. It means letting go of our expectations for ourselves. Do you see, those are the expectations that cause us to be the greatest prisoner in the world, is the expectations that we hold for ourselves. Every little bit of self-talk that we do, every time we look in the mirror, every time we say I am and the word we put after it, that can be an imprisonment. And so when we let go, we release all that and we say, this is a perfect slate and I can create anew. And so in that idea now, we let God. So what does it mean to let God? It means that there is this creative process that is always working. The first thing is we recognize that this creative process is right here. We let go of anything. We decide what we want, and then we act upon it. It's a real simple process. When we act upon it, it means all thoughts, words, actions, feelings, everything is in alignment with it. Well, people will say to me, they'll say, this idea of feelings, how do I line my feelings with something when I'm not feeling that? Well, maybe you cannot line your feelings with the exact intention of being a millionaire right now, but you have a great relationship. So once you set the intention and you start speaking about being a millionaire, you're taking action toward being a millionaire, then you can turn your attention to your relationship that you have with yourself, with your dog, with the community, anything that brings you joy, and allow joy to start permeating the very sense of your being while you're affirming in all areas of your life. And that one feeling in this area will transfer itself into that area, and then the two merge and unite, and the creative process says yes. But if we think we're going to get something by saying, woe me, oh no, I can never do that, we are digging up the seed that we have planted in fertile soil. And here's the thing, when we let go and we let God, we let the creative process that we are in us, it doesn't care who we've been. It doesn't care what we've done. It doesn't care where we live, what sex we are. It doesn't care about anything. But it says, the sum total of this person's thoughts will be created. You see, what happens here is that whatever the conscious mind thinks, our subjective mind responds and creates to it. The subjective mind is the creative nature of the divine, and our conscious mind or our unconscious mind is always putting things into the subjective, and the subjective is creating our lives. What we're trying to do now is make it a conscious creation. And so we consciously think a thought, we think it over and over and over, and the subjective says yes, 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 and yes. We are not subjected to other people's power. We're subjected to the infinite power that exists within us. We've got to keep, here's the beauty of the subconscious mind, the subjective mind. When we turn it over to that, when we put our faith in this power within us, this mind, and we don't tell it what to do, and we sit back and we listen, that mind will guide us with the next idea, with the next idea, then the next idea. It will tell us what's our next action, and then our next action, and our next action. You see, that mind knows how to do things that our conscious mind has no idea of. But when we sit and we listen with clear intention, and we have made a decision to do something or be something different, that subjective mind starts to work. But here's the thing. Where I said before that meditation allowed us to release the past, it's also how we let God, because in meditation, we sit and we listen. It's in the listening that we get the clear voice within us that is not filtered by our past, by other people's thoughts. It's pure and clean. One of the things that happens for me is I prepare a Sunday talk. I've got a talk prepared that I've worked on all day, days, all week long. Come Sunday morning, what happens is I disappear for a half hour, and I sit in the silence, and I allow a greater wisdom that I am to come out. So when I speak on Sundays, what I've prepared is only a very small portion of what I'm speaking. What I had to learn as I became more and more a speaker was I had to let go of my limiting views of what I was going to say. And I had to let God, or the higher aspect that is me, come forth and speak to you. That's a leap of faith. And the only way that happens is to take the leap of faith, to trust it, to have that talk prepared, and yet to do the silence and do the listening, and then not be concerned with the notes that are here, but to know that the notes that are in here and everywhere are those notes that are going to show up in my life and as I speak. You see, that's what I call moving that distance from the head to the heart. And I believe that not one is more valuable than the other. I believe that they're both valuable, but they have to be used in balance. And so much of our lives, we're taught to use our head. I was taught that. I actually believed I was left-brained. I was brought up to be left-brained. I excelled in mathematics, got a scholarship in mathematics, spent most of my career left-brain activities. And what was fascinating, I was always tired. And then I took this simple psychological profile, and what I got from it was, I am 71% right brain. I allowed the pre-programming of my parents, of the school system, of society to influence me. And what I had to do is I had to let go of that. And I had to grasp that which I knew was my truth. My truth is I'm a cognitive thinker. I think in abstracts. I like to expand. I like to create. And the other aspect of my right brain is I love relationships. I love to be with people. I love to nurture people. I love to build community. That's what brings me joy. So when people come to me and say, why are you doing this role of being a teacher in a community like this? I said, because I love to teach. I love my spiritual awareness and the awareness I get from being with people more than anything. And I love to personally grow and learn and become more. And I love to build community. You see, I get joy out of schmoozing, if you want to call it that, or counseling or being with people. I love that. And here's the other aspect, because I don't want to neglect this body. My fifth value is physical pleasure. I love being in the human body. Because if I wasn't in my human body, I wouldn't be able to feel my senses. If I couldn't feel my senses, I would have none of this experience. So I embrace it. I would invite you to brace your physical bodies. Let go of whatever past image you've got of your body, what they say about you as a man or a woman or your age or yada, yada, all this junk. Let it go and start saying, so what do I want my body to be in my life? And start talking about it to yourself, feeling what it would feel like, thinking about what it's like. And here's the kicker. Act as if. I act really goofy. I act real goofy in public, and people, my kids will say, why are you doing that? You're embarrassing us. I said, good. No, we don't. Good. Don't be embarrassed by Dad. Because remember, no one can embarrass you. Only you can allow yourself a feeling of embarrassment, because there's nothing that can judge you. Because this supreme beingness that we call God, universal mind, spirit, doesn't care. It doesn't care, because if it did, it didn't give you perfect freedom. Without perfect freedom, then all of this life is absolutely moot. It's irrelevant. It has no weight. Because to think that we were brought forth to come here and to worship something outside of ourselves does not feel right to me. Because I ask the question of this: how big is God? Does God need to be worshiped? If God is everything, it is infinite, it is all-knowing, it is everywhere present, it has always been and always will be, this God has everything because it is everything. It needs nothing. And so we come forth as it so it can self-experience itself. And so in this self-experience, in order for it to have new experience, it had to give itself complete freedom. And in that complete freedom, it now has the ability to experience beyond anything. How did that feel? See, without letting go and letting God, you wouldn't be free. And if you weren't free, you couldn't create. And then there would be no expansion, which means the very idea of the divine would die. And everything about God is life. So as you start thinking about yourself, I invite you to first off think of that one thing that's been in your mind that's held you back from your joy, and start seeing it exactly the opposite. If it's health, a lack of health, see health. If it's a relationship not steeped in love, picture what love might be. But first, before you picture a relationship of love, what it might be, picture what it would be like to love yourself. To every time you walk past a mirror, you go, yeah. I have never met a mirror I have not liked. My mother used to say that from when I was a little tot. My wife will tell you that. My sons will tell you that. I love mirrors because when I look in the mirror, I get a look. And I smile, and I say, yes, that's me. And you see, when I say, yes, that's me, I'm not doing it because I look good to others. It means I've accepted who I am, and I like me for that. So whatever you look like now, go in the mirror and say, yeah, I like that because that's me, and it's good. You see, the idea is I've let go of the idea that I have to be a certain way, wherever that came from, and I've allowed the God that I am to be what I just choose. Remember, the God's choice in your life is what you choose, not what something outside of you has chosen. So I'm looking at you, and I see just how powerful you are. I see that there is nothing that you cannot do, because if I know that truth about me, if I know that truth about Jesus, if I know that truth about Buddha, if I know that truth about the infinite, then I must see it for you. So when you think about being free and letting go and letting God, remember that everyone else has the right to be free, to let go and see God.